Good evening. Welcome all. It is Sunday. I'm pretty sure. Not exactly 100% on that. But welcome. How are we doing tonight? I'm doing pretty okay. I've had a good day. Slept until 2. It was good. So I haven't been on in a while. Just got a lot of stuff going on. Little life things. Working through a lot of stuff. But it's good to be back. I like being on camera. My dad is in Boston, if you didn't already know that. That's why I am here today, and I have a guest with me today. I have Mr. Tim Swain, and you know what? I just realized.
What'd you just realize?
When I was younger, I used to call you Tim because that's how I was introduced to you. Because I've known him since I was like
Little one.
Little.
Yeah.
But then I called you Mr. Swain because I got older. And now I don't know. I think with my mom I call you Tim, but
Yeah, well, that's cool.
it's always been hard because I know all her teacher friends, and then I have them as teachers, and I'm like Mrs. Mohoff.
Mm-hmm.
That was hard to go from calling her Christine to Mrs. Mohoff. I almost messed up a few times.
Well, you're an adult now.
I am now, but back then,
but now it was all good.
Now I'm back to calling them Mrs. and Mr.
Yeah.
I just realized that. But this is Mr. Tim Swain.
All right.
He is a new grandpa, for those of you that don't know.
Yep, brand new grandpa.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, our oldest just had a little baby boy, Daxton. I don't know if he's watching. Hi, Daxton. But we're very, very excited. Very, very excited. It's our first one, and healthy, amazing. It's great, and everyone gives me the advice. They say being a grandparent is wonderful because then you can just, when he's crying or anything like that, just give him back. Give him back. There you go. Just give him back. It's not like being a parent. So anyway, we're very blessed, and so can't wait for all the grandpa and grandma stuff.
Congratulations.
So thank you very much.
You know, I'm too young to have grandkids, or kids, for my mom to have grandkids.
Yeah, you need to wait.
I'm planning on it. Trust me.
Wait. Yeah,
she doesn't like it, but
because Tilly, you know Tilly.
Yeah, I know Tilly.
Yeah, 28. So
that's the year I want to start having kids. That's when I was like, it's a good age.
Yeah, it's a very good age. She has her career. They both have their careers.
Exactly.
And they have a house and all that great stuff, and so they're not having to worry about how are we going to buy diapers and formula, because back when I was 22 is when we had Tilly.
Yeah.
And it was
not as prepared.
And it was, okay, how do we buy formula?
Yeah.
How do we do this, do that? So it was rough. So anyway, wait. Definitely.
Well, that's the plan. That is the plan.
Good.
Promise.
Very good.
Promise, Dad.
Yes.
So, some news or some updates for me, I guess. I've been taking care of my mom.
Yes.
She fractured her wrist. For
Yes.
those of you who don't know, she hasn't posted about it. She's in a splint, and that whole first week that she fractured her wrist was horrible, and I say that because I had to take care of her for everything. She couldn't get dressed. I had to get her water. I had to make sure she had 3 waters by her bed every night.
Well, can you just try this sometime? Take your right hand.
I understand. Well, it wasn't her right hand. It's her
Well, or take one hand and put it behind your back.
I understand. I understand.
I have tried that sometimes
Have you?
since speaking with her about that.
Yeah.
And it is very, very hard to do things.
I understand that. I do.
Yeah.
But it was hard for all of us because me and my dad, we had to cater to everything. I was driving a lot more, and I'm not a big fan of driving.
No?
I don't like driving.
Well, at least you have your driver's license.
I have my permit. I don't have my license.
Well,
it's still something I have yet to get.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to be famous enough one day so I don't need to drive.
Really?
So Cardi B doesn't have her driver's license. She gets driven around everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of hoped for, but then my parents were like, you kind of need to drive.
You kind of need to drive. Yes.
I know how to do it. I just don't like it. It makes me very anxious to be on the road. I don't like people driving.
Yeah.
But
Well, Fresno's not the best place to be driving.
no.
A lot of crazy people driving.
And I'm used to back roads and stop signs. So whenever I have to go into town and drive with street lights, I'm not. Sometimes I stop and then okay, I'm gonna go, and I'm like, wait, that's a stoplight. Can't do that.
Yeah.
That's because we live out in the country. But so mom's dealing with that. But we also went to New York. That was fun. Have you been to New York?
Oh yeah, couple times.
I've only been once.
Really?
That was the first time.
That's the first time you went?
Yeah, I didn't go in 8th grade.
Yeah.
for reasons I don't want to talk about. But
yeah. I've been back several times. It's. What did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, New York. I told my parents this. It's like something I just like. I felt like I belonged there. And it's really cheesy to say. It's really cheesy to say, and I don't like to say like, oh, I belong somewhere. But for right now, at this point in my life, it's just a place where I feel like I need to be.
Okay.
And I'm getting there. We're getting there, eventually. But
you want to go to school back there or something?
Yeah, all the schools I applied to back there. So we'll see.
Brother's back there. So
he is, and I love my brother.
Is he going to stay back there, or is he going to come back over here?
He's probably going to stay back there for a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're both, him and his fiance.
Right.
They're both in school. They're graduating next year, both of them.
Okay,
But
right.
he said they're kind of. He's thinking about they're staying in Boston, and I'm actually going to be in Boston, well, no matter what, next year. No matter where I get into school, because I'm going to go see 5 Seconds of Summer in concert back there with my brother.
Okay.
And I'm really excited for that. But we did, like, all the tourist things in New York.
Okay.
And it was a lot for a week. It was pretty jam-packed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff back there.
We didn't do a lot
of stuff back there.
We were, like, coming on the way home, and Mom was like, we didn't do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, but we did this, 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 and this. Right. And it's like... The thing is, you want to go to all these things, but you want to also spend time there. Like, if you don't spend time at a place, then it's like, oh, you went, but you didn't really see it. Right. Like, we went to the Museum of Natural History.
Yes. And
I was really excited for that. Night of the museum, like, it's really cool. We only went to basically the one part of the museum. What was it?
Oh, you missed out.
Oh, yeah.
You missed out because that building is huge.
It's huge. Yes. You need more than one day to do that.
Oh, you need to go multiple times.
And we went for a good 2 hours, and we saw one exhibit, and it was basically like Hispanic peoples, Latin American peoples, and because that's where I wanted to see it. We wanted to see that. Right. And it was really nice, but I mean, I wish we had more time. But we had to rush over. We did an NBC Studios tour.
Yeah.
So it was like, and that was out on time, and we were late for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think my favorite part was probably, like, it's dumb, but like riding the subway. I really enjoyed that. It's like a whole different experience.
It's a different experience. It is kind of an eye-opener because here in Fresno, in California, the only subway system you have is down in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you really call that a subway system or not? It's not.
I wouldn't.
It's not huge like New York, but in New York, that's how you
get around.
That's how you get around.
Yeah.
When you go over to Europe and you go to Paris, the same thing. Really? You go to Rome, the same thing. You have subway. All these major cities have subway systems.
I didn't even know they had subways there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a different world down there, and it's kind of an amazing thing. You would think that you have street level, and then you have this whole other world down below, and how they dug the tunnels, all the tracks. How do they keep everything going?
Oh yeah,
it's just amazing, and it's I loved it. I loved. We've gone 3 times now.
Oh.
Yes, been to New York. No, actually 2 times. Excuse me.
Okay.
Washington D.C. once. That's what I was counting as the 3rd time. But we went during the summer, and it was very warm.
Oh, yeah.
Very humid. And when you go down in the subway, the only breeze that you get is when the car is going and the cars pass each other, and you get it through the windows. And so you kind of have to acclimate yourself a little bit. It's a different smell.
Oh yeah.
You kind of got to understand that your apps and your phone and stuff may not work down there.
Oh yeah.
But I would suggest that anyone that goes to New York and you ride the subways, you get the transportation department. I forget what it's called. New York Metro. Yeah. And
Metro
you get
card.
their app, and it will kind of tell you, okay, this is where you want to go. This is what train you do. This is where you go down for that train. It was wonderful. We did not do that the first time I went, but the second time I went, we did that, and it was amazing. It was like, oh, we could go here, go here, go here, and
it's all in one place, and I feel like you kind of miss the whole experience of New York if you don't go. I mean, the one thing we didn't do is take a taxi. We took Ubers, like, because taxis, but their taxis are outdated now.
Well, but Uber's the thing now.
It is, but like for like someone, I mean, I'm not old, but like when I was younger, Uber wasn't there, and I remember like from movies and TV, it's like, oh, you take taxi in New York. That's what it is. You take cabs.
Right.
Like that's how TV shows. You hail a cab, and it's really hard to hail cabs.
Right.
But like, we didn't actually see that many cabs over there.
Yeah, now it's Uber.
Yeah, now it's just like all regular cars and.
Right.
I mean, but the traffic's still horrible. So we took subways everywhere, and like my mom, she hated the smells. There would like be liquid on the floor. She's like, don't step in it. I don't know what it is. Don't step in it.
If it's wet and it's not yours, don't touch it.
There was one time. There was one time we did see like soap on the floor. Like they had just like they were cleaning, and it was probably the cleanest subway station we'd been at. And it was like she was like, "Don't step." I'm like, "Mom, it's soap. You can see it." She's like, "Urine foams too, Gabby."
Yeah.
And it's like, I know, Mom, but it's. But I think the
did
subway
you go
was
to
fun.
Did you go in Yankee Stadium? Did you go at least look at that? No.
I'm not a big sports person.
Well, even if you're not a big sports fan, it's just.
It's an experience.
You just have to go.
So
you just have to go.
The thing is, the first day that we got there at night, like late. We got there at 12 o'clock their time, midnight.
Okay.
And so my brother and his fiance picked us up, took us to the hotel, and like we had to go to sleep because we were up bright and early. We went to Kelly and Ryan show.
Okay.
We saw that, and that was really fun. We went for my grandmother. Really, she's a huge fan of Kelly and Ryan. I like Kelly and Ryan. I'm not like a big fan like my grandmother. She said, "Mija, you need to try and go." And she said, "And you need to try and be the dance person, the person that goes and dances in the camera during the breaks, you know." She's like, "You need to try and do that." She said, "And then if they don't pick you," she said, "you get me a mug, but don't you pay for it." And I was like, "Okay, Grandma." Okay, I did not. We bought her a mug. Don't tell her that. She doesn't know that we bought it.
Well,
I
now
told
she
her
does
that I
if
did.
she's listening.
She doesn't. She's not on Facebook. My grandmother's not on Facebook.
Well, this is on YouTube.
She doesn't go on. She doesn't have internet in her house.
Oh.
My grandmother has a home phone. She doesn't even have a cell phone.
She doesn't have a cell phone?
She's 79.
Wow.
She doesn't want
My mom's
one.
85 and she has a cell phone. So your grandma needs to kind of
She,
get with it.
yeah.
And my mom's learning how to text message now.
Unless my uncle goes and shows her, which I doubt he will.
Yeah.
I think I'm safe. But
Okay. All right.
So we went to Kelly and Ryan, and then what do we do right after that? Where do we go? My mom's in here. The thing is, like, you forget everything you do day to day because it's so much. We did that. I remember.
Did you at least go have pizza?
Yes, okay. We went to
All right.
Nolita's. My brother
Nolita's.
took us to Nolita's Pizzeria, and like a bunch of celebrities go there. Like Kylie Jenner's been there 3 times, and my brother and his fiance were so excited to show us because like they have pictures on the wall of like the celebrities, and there's 3 pictures of her on the wall, all from like before, during, and after, like in her big transformation and how she didn't have any surgeries and everything. So it's like you can really see how she didn't change anything. That was all natural.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was on the wall, and they were really excited to show me that because it's a joke in our house.
Yeah,
But we went. Okay, I'm not done. He asked me about pizza. We went to Nolita's, and that's by NYU.
Right.
Yeah, and so we didn't actually like see NYU, but we saw the bull there that's in Hitch. You know that like bull statue. There were lines for that picture.
Down in the financial district.
Yeah.
Yeah, down on Wall
That
Street.
was, like-
Did you go down Wall Street?
No, we didn't go down Wall Street. We were in the financial district a little bit because we went and saw 9/11 Memorial.
Okay.
You had to go see that.
Well, yeah.
So we did that, and that was really cool. It was like that's just.
So you didn't walk by the New York Stock Exchange?
Did we? Yeah, we did. I
okay.
just didn't know. It was late at night. It was late at night.
And did they have the people out there with the semi-automatic weapons still?
Yes. Okay. So when we were in Rockefeller Center, actually, they had, and the tree was still up, but it was because what was it? Something had just happened, and like there were a lot more security than usual. My brother told us, he was like, "There's a lot more security down there than usual."
Right.
But it was, and like I thought it was cool. And then also when we went to Ellis Island Statue of Liberty, they had them there too, and that I really like seeing the Statue of Liberty. She's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
Of course.
so like you think about it, and like
course.
on the ferry ride over.
What, do you think the French do anything small?
No, I wouldn't know.
No, because
But,
they
like-
gifted that to us. I mean,
No,
it was like go big or go, go
It's
home.
huge, but
Yeah,
like
it is.
when I was there, like the ferry ride over, she doesn't look. She's big, and you know
Yeah.
she's got to be big for her to
Right.
be seen from on a ferry ride.
Right.
But like you get there, and like we went up to the pedestal. That's as far as we could go.
Right.
And you get there, and it's like I can look up and I see her hand, and her hand is like 2 times the size of my face. She's holding that tablet, and I'm like, wow. And then you're thinking about like the craftsmanship, and you go down in the little museum that they have there, and they show like all of these different things, and it's really like,
It's amazing.
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
That even back then, like, that happened, and like that they were able to do that with not as much technology as we have now.
Right.
And like, I think
called
she's beautiful.
craftsmanship is what
Yes.
it's called.
Well, that's not.
Well, you look at a lot of homes, a lot of homes that were built back in the 1900s,
Oh, they're
1910s.
beautiful.
They are beautiful. The
Yeah.
woodwork and all that stuff, it's amazing. You go into a home now that's been built
it's just a little box.
like within the last 50 years. It's a box.
Yeah.
There's everything's prefab and this and that, but
Yeah.
So
It's rare to
different day.
find unless you build your own house. They're all like the same, and like
Right.
my parents and I, whenever we see like new developments, it's like Ticky Tacky Boxes. That song, that was back in the day during the wars. That's the song that was released, and now it's still prevalent today. There's literally new developments everywhere, and they all look the same. No backyard, like just really small houses, and it's like, what? You're not special. It's just everyone's the same.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
I don't know. It was kind of like, when I saw her, she's beautiful. She doesn't even have a real face. She's beautiful.
Right.
And like you hear the stories about how what she meant and what she still means to people. And I love history, so it was amazing to me. That was a whole day though. That was a day trip. That's a long day that you do if you go and see the Statue of Liberty.
Did you go to? So you went to the 9/11 memorial.
We did.
All right. I have not been back since the new memorial is
really?
done. Right. But did you go to the church that was right across the street from?
No, we didn't. So
all right.
we went late at night, and it was kind of like we had done a lot of things that day, but we were like losing days. We were like,
Right.
okay, we're not going to be here, and we were trying to figure it out. And my brother was like coming back because he was in
Right.
New Jersey, and we were like, okay, we need to figure out when we're going to go do this. And we had some time, and it was like dark, but still light enough to
Right,
where you could
right.
go appreciate it.
Right.
So we went. It was like a last minute thing. We were like, let's just go see it now. We're close.
Right.
You look at the subway and you're like, okay, it's gonna take like 5 minutes to get there.
Right.
So we went, and it was, but we didn't see. No, we didn't actually get to go in the museum either. We got there like right as it closed.
All right.
But the memorial, and you've got people that still go out and put flowers on the names, and like my mom and I were big babies, so we're tearing up,
Right.
and it's
Right. All right.
it's so peaceful there.
Well, there's a church that is right across the street where the Twin Towers were. And everything is, for lack of a better term, it's like a concrete jungle down there. It's all asphalt, concrete, and buildings, and you have this Catholic church that looks like a church that was built, I'm sure it was built in the
Long time
1800s,
ago,
long
yeah.
time ago. And it's just right there, and it has a cemetery directly in back. And that's kind of the hub where where firefighters
Yes, of course.
would go, and there's grass and would lay down. And so there's all kinds of items, history, photos.
Yeah.
It's really kind of transformed this church into just, okay, we're going to go. They still have services there.
Yeah.
But now it's part of, lack of a better term, the 9/11 experience. And
Yeah.
you go down and you see this church, and you just see all of the pictures and the history, and it's just, it really gives you goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because when you walk out of that church and you're in the graveyard, you look directly across, and that's where the Twin Towers were.
Yeah.
And it's no longer.
I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah,
and see
you're gonna
that.
have. You're
Next
gonna,
time I go
you're
back, I'm
gonna
gonna have to go.
You're gonna have to go back and.
Is I do want to see it in light too. I mean, the water that they have cascading in, that's just
Right.
it's beautiful,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it conveys what it's meant to,
Right.
and it's like a
Right.
whole thing. And it's, I mean, it happened the year I was born. I was only a few months old when that happened, and people. I had teachers like the past few years. They were talking about it, like, you guys are the last people that really know about it, and it's true. The younger generations, they learn about it, but it's just another part of history to them.
Right.
I was technically alive. I was a
Right.
baby,
Right.
but it was still a big thing. And I remember even when they killed bin Laden. Like, I remember where I was when they announced that they killed bin Laden.
Right.
And, like, that's how people are about, they know exactly where they were when 9/11 happened.
Right.
And for me, it's still a big part. Even though I was a baby, it's still important,
Yeah, I remember I was at the high school. I was a counselor
Yeah.
or VP at the high school when that happened. And I can remember we had all the TVs on, and
Yeah.
just classes
watching.
just kind of stopped, and we were watching all this stuff, and it was really, it was wild. It was sad,
Of course.
but it was history.
Yeah. And that's what that's really now that's all it is for everyone, for all these kids now.
Right.
And like I'm a kid and I know I'm a kid still. I'm 18, but I'm
Well, you're an adult.
I'm an adult.
You're a young adult.
I mean, I'm an adult. I mean,
You go to jail now, so
I can. I'm not going to. No. But I mean, being an adult is fun. I mean, I just voted for the first time.
Okay.
I just sent in my ballot.
Yeah,
and
how was that?
It was really cool because
Did you mail it? Did you drop it off?
I did a mail-in.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
my parents do mail-in. Well, my dad doesn't, and he got a mail-in. He was not okay with that. He likes to go.
So
to
he
the
likes to
polls.
go to the polls and that experience.
Of course, and like,
okay.
I mean, I will eventually, but for now, I think for my first time. But it was really funny because I got an email like right after I mailed it, and like a few days later, and they were like, "We noticed you mailed in your ballot early. Why was that?" And I'm like, and like you had to like, there were like 2 options, and
Mm-hmm.
neither of it, and then it was like other option, and I wrote in there, I'm like, this is my first time voting. And I did my research, so I knew who I was going to vote for.
Okay.
Because for my generation, we're, you know, especially me, I'm a woman. It's 2020. It's 100 years women are able to vote. It's been a century. And that's a big thing for me. I'm very into the women's movement. I'm
Right.
feminist, you know. So for me, I'm like, this is something I need to do.
Right.
And it's, especially with the family I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know my dad. But
Well, you have you that's
it's a right.
it's a right, and this is how I can maybe how so your dad was in the military, brother was in the military,
exactly.
and they have gone and they have fought, and many people before them have died
Exactly.
for our rights. And
This is a
and
privilege.
for our freedoms, and that's one of the things in our society that
Yeah.
that you know, voting, it's one of the things that they fought and died for.
Yeah.
And so that's why people that do not vote, like I vote, I have voted ever since I was 18.
Yeah.
My son votes, our daughters vote, my wife vote. We all
Exactly.
vote. My mom, everybody on my family. that's how I grew up.
Me too,
It was
yeah.
just part of, all right, when you were 18,
You're gonna vote.
you signed up for selective service and then you registered the vote.
Yeah.
And yeah, back in the day, I can remember going to and voting. People around the neighborhood would open up their garages and they'd have the voting things. Now it's all mail-in. Now this year they have boxes, secured steel
I saw
boxes.
that, yes.
Matter of fact, when I was coming up here, right outside of one of the middle schools, right in the smack,
you see one?
yeah, right in the middle where the middle school, where people pull up, it's right there. Where my son works at the grocery store, there's one there. So you don't even have to mail it in. You can just drop it in there. And so it's really, they're doing a lot of different things to get more and more people, make it convenient, because I know that like there's people that I know that don't vote.
Yeah.
And I don't think one way or the other, but I
course,
just go, well,
yeah.
why don't you
Why
vote?
not? Yeah.
Well, I'm working. I'm going, well, you know, the polls are
Yeah.
open from 7 to 7, so all
That's
right,
funny,
you're not
yeah.
working. Or, well, I'm not sure where it's at. They tell you.
Yeah.
They usually have it at a school. I remember one time when we were at Rio, principal at Rio, we did that. We
Yeah.
had the voting there, and it was just to get people to come and just
Yeah,
kind
more
of
people.
do
Yeah.
our part and to make it convenient and stuff. And so now, I don't. There's no excuse. And
And that's funny you say that, because last year I'm in AP Gov, you know,
Right.
and we talk about that. And
Right.
my teacher, he was absolutely right. He was like, people make all these excuses to vote when in reality there shouldn't be.
There shouldn't
it's
be.
so
There
easy
shouldn't be.
for people to vote. You
Right.
mail it in.
Right.
Like that is the easiest thing. And you know, I have like, obviously my generation, we're very excited to vote. We are ready to vote.
Right.
It's game changing for us, especially, you know, for if you believe.
well, you saw in the last how many elections? It's game changing.
Exactly. And
With
everything.
with Obama, game changer. First black American to be president. You saw then after that, you saw Trump, game changing.
Yeah.
You have a person that has never been in politics and he's president. now.
Exactly.
And so this one again, it's game changing, and how those offices, how people come and go, it's through people coming out and voting.
Yes. And for me, I've asked my friends, like most of us, we're like, it's not even a question. Yeah, we're gonna vote.
Right.
And then I have some friends, and like I'm not judging them. They're like, oh, I don't feel, like I have one. She was like, I'm not gonna vote, and I was like, why? 'Cause
Right.
she was one of my first people for my age to hear her say, I'm not going to vote. And I was
Right.
like, she was like, I just don't feel like I have the information. And I was like, okay, well, there's information everywhere.
You have the internet.
And I was like, and she's just like, well, I don't have the time. And well, she's very busy. I'm like,
Yeah.
you could literally take 10 minutes. And the thing is, like, you get a voter guide in the mail.
Yeah.
They explain everything. And like, I read mine. I know I read mine. There was a lot of things just for my area that I needed to read. And
Right.
I'm young. I don't know. I don't understand everything. I Googled things. You know, I want to know what these words mean, what this means for me.
Right.
But for me, it's like voting. I mean, you're right. I've had family in the military for generations, and it's like, for me, it's like no brainer. I'm gonna vote. Like,
Right.
and I was so excited, and I mailed it the same day I got it. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I just, it's like the first thing that's actually made me feel kind of grown up, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like so privileged to vote,
Well, yeah.
and it's
Because you
it's a
look
great
at
thing.
look at how many countries, how many they just don't vote.
Exactly.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's not.
It's okay. This is the person, and it's either they get into power through force, through military,
Yeah.
whatever, and
Yeah.
there
so,
it is. Yeah.
I mean,
So we're blessed.
Yeah.
We're very blessed to be where we're at and to have that right to vote. I think everybody needs to vote.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed because who I vote my primary for presidential candidate, he dropped out of the race recently. Andrew Yang. I'm Yang gang all the way.
Yang gang.
I followed him on Instagram. I was all over him. I
Yeah.
don't know. He was just something about him.
Right.
And I love everything he talked about. And like, I personally, I'm going to vote Democratically. But I'm registered Green Party, actually. And my dad, when I was registering to vote, I told him, I was like, are you going to hate me if I register Green Party? And he was like, you do you. He was like, you know what? I don't care what you are. And that's how my parents are. They're not
Right.
going to judge me.
Right.
But
Right.
I, from what I've learned last year to what I know now, and like, obviously my dad is my dad, and he explains a lot of stuff to me. He teaches me, and what I see, I was like, I'm more Green Party right now. Maybe in the future it'll change. Who knows?
Now on your ballot, did you have just the Green Party candidates, or did you have all the candidates?
I had only Green Party, so I had to write in.
Right,
I did.
right.
Yeah.
Because I remember that if you registered in California as an independent,
Yes.
you had everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
And now that's not
It's not the same.
Now
And
they've changed that.
it explains that actually in the voter guide. It's like these parties allow you to vote even if you're not in their party. And Democratic Party is one of them.
Right.
But Republican Party, no. Independent Party, no. And
Yeah.
I wrote it in, and I was totally fine with that. And
Sure.
actually, I didn't know any of who the Green Party candidates were. And I looked them up to make sure. I was like,
Right.
I know who I want to vote for, but
Right.
I should look into this. And I just, yeah. But
Now,
That's
what
great.
if you? Let me ask you this, because I always I kind of have my way of doing. So, let's say, I don't know. Let's just say judge. Okay, let's just say the office of Fresno County Judge, and you look at all the people, and you don't know any of them, or you go and do your research, and there's nobody that's running that.
I want to vote for.
Do you just leave that section blank, or do you automatically vote for somebody?
I vote for some. I don't
Do you?
want to leave
Okay.
anything blank.
Okay.
I mean, if I obviously
Right.
like you can write in, but I don't know
Yeah.
anyone personally
Right.
that. But I choose out of like the ones I have.
Right.
I chose the one I thought
Okay.
like if you made a pro and cons list, which
Yeah.
one had the more?
Yeah.
Because I'm still young. I'm still
Right.
learning, and
Right.
with more experience, I'll be able to say, okay, I know this person is great and this
Right.
person isn't.
Right.
Like I know some people just because I've been around,
Right.
with my dad and my mom in the news. Like you hear these names, you see the commercials,
Right. Yeah.
just for our area too. Like I know certain names and I don't know other names, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's. But for like the judge, yeah, I wouldn't know, and I've heard some of them, but
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
like what you're gonna believe and what you believe.
And for me, I used to be that way, but if there was a couple on this ballot
Mm-hmm.
that even after my research,
You
I was
weren't- yeah,
I
you
was
weren't
kind of
there.
like,
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Sleep
so
late.
I'm just not just going to throw it out for somebody that I'm not sure at.
Yeah.
So there was a couple on this one.
Yeah.
Normally that doesn't happen. Normally there's some clear-cut candidates when you do your research, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But
There's
there
some
was there was
standout
there was there was
candidates.
a couple, and it's kind of those odd, like I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but it's like some off job like. Assistant county commissioner or something. I mean, something like that.
I don't
And you're
even
like,
know what they do. You have to look it up.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, I'm just making an example, but and so I'll look at that and then I'll do my research. I'm like, yeah, no. And then so there was a couple on this one that I left blank.
Yeah. And I think I will get to there too. It's my first time voting. I wanted my.
Well, you're excited.
I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I have friends, and I through all of the social media, and it's like, for me, like I think what is it's 100 years women get to vote this
Right.
year, and
Right.
that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm a woman, and I'm very proud to be a woman, and looking through history, women are what I love to learn about, and.
Right.
It's just amazing to me how we've been voting for 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like I was like, I'm gonna vote. This is it.
Yeah. You brought up something, social media, and we were having that conversation before we started tonight about social media and Facebook. I did away with all that stuff, and the
Yeah.
reason why I did away with all that was because of all the political,
You get a lot on there.
the fake news, what's fake news,
What
what's
isn't.
what isn't.
Yeah.
Just with this last election and now this upcoming election.
Because it's hard to believe. You don't know what to believe. And
Right,
it's like,
right.
how exactly how are people going to prove this? And it's really like what your beliefs are.
Yeah.
You're going to go more with that. So the
right.
thing is, like, social media, for my generation, it's a big thing. And if you don't have it, you miss out on so much.
Yeah, I get that. I just know that for me, the craziness of the people that I saw
And-
their feeds where it was, if you're a Republican, you were the Antichrist, or if you were a Democrat, you were the Antichrist.
Yeah.
It was
It's
crazy.
totally one way.
It's totally it's either one way or the other, and what I saw with this last election was more and more people were like friendships breaking up
yeah.
or different
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah.
Now, what's kind of interesting is, we've already started the primaries
Yes.
for this
Yes, we
coming
have.
election, and I mean, I'm sure all the craziness is going to start coming, but as of right,
Relatively calm.
but it has been. It's been relatively calm, and it's kind of, in my opinion, it's been nice because that's what really kind of freaked me out about. Okay, just don't have a conversation with people on politics, and you don't know if they're going to go way off the reservation
yeah.
on you or not, and so. Yeah,
you have to be careful, and
well, you have to be respectful.
Exactly, and that's my parents taught me, like, you respect people no matter what they
Right,
believe, and that's how
exactly.
I feel.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're this or that. Like, I'm gonna respect you. I understand your opinion. You want to have your opinion? That's
Right.
fine.
Right.
I've had friends that just not even on politics that don't agree with me on certain beliefs I have, and I'm like, they'll go off on me, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
You have your opinion, and I respect that. I would like for you to respect mine, please.
Exactly.
And
Right.
I'm not going to tell you it's wrong.
Right.
You have that, and I have mine, and that's totally fine. Don't let that affect us. And social media does do that. And
Yeah.
you did away with yours, and I do away with mine at times.
Yeah.
A lot of people my age, celebrities included, they find that they need breaks, and I need breaks.
Right.
And but there's also parts of social media that you can control, like what you're seeing. And I
Right.
told my dad when he got a Twitter,
Oh.
I was like, there's political Twitter, there's entertainment Twitter. I was like, it all depends on who you follow and what you're going to look at. So for me, on my Twitter, there's nothing political on my Twitter because I don't follow any of that. Because there's some social media I don't want.
Right.
Have I been on Twitter recently? Yes, but I checked it once in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's all about balance. Because I have people that are always on it, and that's how I used to be.
Right.
Because my generation, it's so focused on social media, and I mean, I feel like I miss things. I do.
Yeah.
Like, just from my bands that I follow, like, I miss when they release stuff. I miss, like, and I got on just the other day, and one of my 21 Pilots, he had his daughter, and I was like, oh my God, Mom, I can't believe I missed this. How did I miss the birth of Tyler Joseph's baby?
Yeah.
And but like, I don't know them. And I love them. I love their music, and I feel connected to them, but it's not a big deal. So I mean, I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter on my phone. I have Snapchat, but that's because my friends, we communicate. Snapchat is a big communicator compared to text nowadays. But it's good to get away with it for a while, and it is overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's and see, I never was into the social media thing, and then
it's hard to get into.
Well, and the reason why I did get into it was just because I got more and more when I went from an administrator to a teacher. That's kind of how we did our communication with our union and all that stuff, and then it just friends from high school.
Of course, and it's like a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
you go
and
down
it was,
further
and it was,
further.
and I can remember we had our 30th year. Class reunion, and it was just
Facebook,
was just crazy, and so, but also too, there was a lot of craziness with people and their political beliefs and the ads and just all the crazy stuff, and it was like a rabbit hole. I kind of found myself just sitting there, and I'm like going, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And so now what's kind of weird is I'm back to how I was before, where, you know, I'll listen to a couple talk shows in the morning. I'll listen to, you know, music in the evening. I very rarely watch TV anymore. I kind of just immerse myself in with my kids, life. My dogs, my grandchild, and stuff like that. And it's nice because, you know, I keep up to date on things. You know, I'll go through and I'll you know, go on the internet and stuff and look at some stuff or whatever. So at least I'm kind of relevant and, you know, and with things. But you know, like we were talking with music, I'm kind of stuck with the bands in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, and that's just kind of my thing. And I remember that. With your dad, we would do some shows on.
And I asked you.
Yeah, and
you're like, kind of the same stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, it was, you know, even with movies. I'm like, I know there's a lot of new releases. I will get there when you get there. When I get there. Yeah. But
you're not going to go out of your way.
And
that's the thing. You're living life, and you know, it's hard for someone my age to imagine what it was like before the internet and before all of this, because I haven't been alive.
Well, see, and I lived when,
that's
like your mom and I, we did not have.
You guys explained
internet
to me
and your dad and
you guys explained to me all the time, like what would you do without this? And I'm like, I don't know. What did you do? Because in the world I live in, there's so many things to do, and when I don't have, say, my TV on, my phone on, my laptop on, I'm like, I kind of don't know what to do, and I have to find something to do. And while it's not hard for me to find something to do, it's not at the touch of my fingertips where I can just, I'm going to go. And the thing is, like, people are like, go read a book. I read a book on my phone. I read books on my phone. I read books on my laptop because, one, it's cheaper to buy books electronically, you know? And so it's like, when I take the time off, it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do. But at the same time, I hit a point every time I do where it's like, what am I missing right now? And that's why it's like fear of missing out. People have that, and it's FOMO. Like, it's a real thing, and it's true. We feel it. That's what they call it, FOMO. And
they have a term for it. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I've never heard that term before.
It's an acronym. Yeah, it's fear of missing out. Who has serious FOMO?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I tell my mom all the time I was born in the wrong time period. I would like to have been born back then when it was like things were different, but at the same time I wouldn't, because there's some things I don't want to change. I don't want to change that I have freedoms and rights, and but at the same time it's like I want to be in a simpler time where we didn't have all of this stuff to kind of ruin our lives in a sense, because for some people social media ruins lives.
Oh, it does.
So we're on social media right now, though.
Yeah.
So we're on Facebook.
But that's that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's and YouTube. That's where it's at. Well, and as you were talking, I was thinking of, okay, so think about your math classes that you took, like your stats and your AP calculus and stuff.
I didn't take AP calculus.
Oh, you didn't? But
I did not. I took everything except AP calculus.
So let's talk about your stats. Imagine doing your stats without your TI-84 calculator.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Because you literally you just put in the list and it does it for you. You put in the graph, it does it for you.
But
I don't know how I could have done that without it.
That was my world.
I don't know.
See, that was my world.
And that's what I'm saying.
That was my world. When I went through and when I went through my classes at high school and then when I went to Fresno State, the TI those TI calculators were just coming out. But I can remember stats. I can even remember going back for my master's and going, oh man, if I had this in college, this would have been a breeze.
And it's funny because we have to learn without it.
Right.
And I remember my teacher, he was so clear. Don't worry, guys. We have to do it first, and then we'll get the calculator, and I'll show you how to do it. And it's like 2 seconds, and it's the easiest thing. But we would have to like sit there doing the list on a piece of paper, and we were like, I was like falling asleep. I'm like, oh my god, what are we doing? And then he's like, okay, now we're gonna calculate 2 seconds.
But okay, so now that's the dilemma that when I teach college, all right. And I used to go, okay, we're going to do this by hand. I'll show you how to do it by hand, and then I'll show you calculator. Yeah. But now what I do is my focus is not the computations, because we live in a world now where computers will do it for you. How I teach the classes, I say, okay, this is how you find like the standard deviation on your calculator, but I teach as to what does that standard deviation mean? What does that number mean? That's how how I teach that. And because students are like, oh yeah, I just go do and I get the number, and then but what does
I don't know what it means.
But what is see, that's the thing.
And that's the thing, I had a problem with stats. You know that because
I know.
Tim and his daughter, Tilly, who just had the baby, they both helped me with stats, and I still got a B in that class. And I earned that B, and I'm fine with that. But
it's all good.
It was difficult, and but I still don't. And there would be questions that we'd have on tests, like, what does the standard deviation mean? And I'm like, good question.
You know how you know how to get it
there.
Yeah.
I know how to get there, but do I know what it means? No, and I don't understand that. So
technology is great.
But it's also bad.
But it's also bad because it becomes kind of a crutch. And so like us as teachers, that's kind of like we have to change.
Figure out a way.
We have to change our thinking. And so that's how I teach now. And it's totally different than, it's a total paradigm shift for me. And when I'm teaching the higher end stuff, it's, okay, what does this stuff mean? As compared to, I know you can go on a calculator and you can get it.
And you can get it, but what does it mean? Yeah. So I hope we still have you. We kind of went on our little, basically we're talking about our generations, our different, how we grow up and how things are different between us. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about what we were going to do before, and we wanted to talk about what's going on, and we get on our tangents, but they're good tangents because it's nice to have different perspectives because you grew up in a whole different time period, and I'm growing up now, and it's completely different, but we're living in the same world now.
Right.
So I think I do want to talk a little bit about TV and movies. I know you don't have that much to say about that.
Should have brought my wife. She loves Netflix, and she could go on for days.
Man.
She's probably right now at home watching Netflix. And there's, I don't know what the show is, but she loves the show. It was, it's about.
Tell me about it. I probably know.
It's about a heist where they're
Good girls.
I don't know, but they're doing something where it was they busted into a bank, and now they're all right. So
my mom watched that show.
So she's watching that. But what the funniest thing is about that show is, so I'm sitting there and she's watching it, and then I kind of watch it by default because
of course.
I'm there.
You have to.
And so it's staged in Spain. I think it was no. Then this is something else.
It's a different one.
But this is one where it's the actors are in Spain,
okay,
and they're talking Spanish, but then it's all dubbed in English.
Of course.
And so you get where their mouth is moving, but it's
And-
totally different. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching, I go, gosh, that just really bugs me.
It does. So, and that's the thing.
And she's just beyond that. She's like, oh no, you'll
you know,
get
you
used to it.
get used to it. And that,
Yeah.
you know, it's funny you say that because, you know, in our house now we make this joke about Parasite won Best Picture, and we love that movie.
Yeah.
And
But a lot of people are like, I do not want to watch
and
it
so
because of the subtitles.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
when they first won before the Oscars, I don't know if it was Golden Globes but when the director won, he won for directing, and he talked about you just have to get over that 1 inch of subtitles. And you know, I've had people I've watched like Korean love stories on Netflix, and I have no problem reading, you know, but some people cannot. And you know, there are some on Netflix that are dubbed and don't have subtitles,
Right.
and you're like, okay, so I have to watch it in dubbed.
Right.
But for me, it's like, why are you gonna watch something in English when you can read? Like, it's not that hard. And the thing is, like, it's because we want so much to just relax and not have to work. And my mom, we say this all the time, like, when my dad will put on, it's like, is this a movie we have to watch? Like, watch? Like,
Or can
not be on our computer, not be on our phone. We're sitting there watching because you have to follow the movie.
Right.
And then you have movies you don't have to watch
Right.
100%. You can give your focus to something else. And it's, yeah.
Well, and I think so when you talk about focus. So as kind of we were talking and you know, I was telling you about the show that my wife's watching on Netflix, and I'm sitting there and I'm kind of watching, I'm like, yeah, I can't get over, the
dub, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't
It's
get
hard.
over that.
It is.
Because I wasn't focused, I haven't watched it from the beginning, I wasn't interested
course,
in it.
yeah.
Now, people that are my age and older, back in the 70s and 60s, they had a lot of World War II movies. And
Yeah.
there was one where it was Tora, and then there was one called Midway. And it talked about, you know, different invasions when it came to Japanese invasions on the United Pearl Harbor and stuff
Yes.
like Midway was
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor and stuff. And so it was all dubbed. And it was the English.
She found it. What
Oh,
your
did
wife
she?
is watching.
Okay,
It's called
what-
Money Heist.
Money Heist. There it is. Thank you. Money Heist. Yes,
My
that's
mother,
what she's watching. Money
she
Heist.
found it.
Yeah.
Good
But
mom.
when
Thank
when
you,
it comes to those movies, I was literally interested in it, and I was focused. And so the whole dub, when you would have the American actors, they were, you know, just normal. They were talking in English. But then when you had the Japanese side of it, they were speaking in Japanese, but it was dubbed in English. But your focus on it was something that you were interested in watching. Doesn't bother me. I could watch.
Yeah.
I could watch
Yeah,
those
you're right.
movies, and it was the same thing with Clint Eastwood and spaghetti westerns that were made back in Spain over there, and it was the same thing. You have Clint Eastwood who is speaking his parts in English, and then you have all the different other actors that are dubbed. It doesn't bother, and so I think you hit the head on the nail, or the nail on the head. Excuse me. Yeah, because I'm dyslexic. Math teacher's dyslexia. When it comes to focus,
Yeah.
you have to be focused, and so.
yeah.
So maybe I will give Money Heist a chance.
The focus thing comes from
Oh, she
my parents.
binge watches that. She loves that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom and I, we both watch our shows, and like, there's sometimes we watch the same show, and she's like, you want to watch it together? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because I have my own schedule for binge watching. Because me, when I start a series, I have to finish that series before I can go on to something else. And when the new season comes out, I have to make time for it, and it sounds ridiculous, but like, that's what people my age do. We binge watch, and we binge watch like no tomorrow. I can finish a season in a day when
Really?
it just released that day.
Wow.
You know, and it's like sad, but at the same time, that's what we're used to now.
Interesting.
It's a normal.
Yeah.
And I have a lot more time than most people,
Yeah.
but at the same time, even when I was in school, I would make time to watch these things because I'm interested in them, whether they were like fictional or fact, and whether I was watching a documentary or like some rom-com. It's what I did, and I still do it. And I don't know, there's just been a lot of things coming out. Obviously, we had the Oscars. My dad, you guys know that he did all of that, and I pretty much agreed with him on all his picks and what he enjoyed. My mother and I were with him when he saw that. The only one we didn't see with him was what was it? 1922? No, what?
No,
what's the-
1917.
Because
Yes.
that was the day my mother had her surgery.
Oh, yeah.
My dad wanted to see it, and I was
Yeah.
like, go see it. I'll take care of Mom. And so she was still tired from the surgery, so
Sure,
we didn't
yeah.
go. But that's the only one we haven't seen. But Parasite, I loved.
I hear 1917 is. I haven't seen it. I heard it's amazing.
I heard
amazing.
KP loves
Yeah,
1917.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Photography was awesome.
Yeah. And I'm excited
Compared
to
to
see
Saving Private Ryan, similar? No.
No, but this is a one-tip camera. This one's
Yeah, but with just kind of the special effects and just just totally different.
it's very different.
I mean, I
Really?
told my
Interesting,
dad
okay.
that I could tell it was going to be like the cinematography, just from the trailers,
Yeah.
the type of like filming they did with the camera. Just there's one like they kept showing him running along the battlefield. Just
Yeah.
from that scene, like
Yeah.
just not even seeing the movie, you could tell
Yeah.
it was going to be good in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So I'm excited to see that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to kind of do just because I want to give them my generational perspective of
Okay.
what I'm kind of watching. So in my house, we have Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. We have
Okay.
all of them.
Okay.
And we use all of them. We
Yeah.
watch all of them. I know I do. So
No cable?
we do have some cable for news. Need the news.
All right.
Yeah, some channels have some sports channels, not all of
Yeah,
them.
okay.
My grandfather used to hate that we didn't have ESPN. One of the last times he came over before he was in the hospital,
Right.
we didn't have ESPN, and he was not okay with that.
He wasn't happy,
and
huh? Wow.
he gets very stubborn, or he did. He
Yeah,
used to get
yeah.
very stubborn, and
Right.
he was not happy. And it's stuff like that I kind of like want to remember. You know,
Sure,
that's how he
yeah.
was, and
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people my mom is stubborn because of him, and I'm stubborn because of him, and it's
Yeah.
something I share. But
Yeah.
we don't have all the ESPN channels. We watch the Super Bowl. Yes, you are stubborn. You get it from your father, and I get it from you. I also get it from my dad, stubborn a little bit. But so right now, let's see. What am I'm watching a lot of stuff right now. So Netflix came out with Taylor Swift's documentary.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if you know, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
you?
That's my girl. I would see her in concert, but her tickets are like $1,000. So
How does that make you feel? $1,000.
So here's the thing. It's not. I'm upset about it, and a lot of fans do get upset because
Yeah.
there are some people who get tickets very easily, and then
Yeah.
some people don't. But you know, if I had gone to see her when she was still coming up,
Right.
I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But I was younger, and I wasn't going to a lot of concerts back then.
Yeah.
I'm older now. I go to concerts, but it's not a great feeling. I mean, I want to see her. I
Sure.
could buy cheap nosebleeds and go see her for like $100 probably.
Yeah.
But my 5 Seconds Summer concert that I'm going to,
Yeah.
we paid $83 per ticket, and it's a pretty good seat. And that's because they're still not to her level.
And concert-wise, $83 is a great price.
It is.
I mean, that's a
it's
real,
a very
that's
good price.
that's a really good
and
price.
and it's
yeah.
because they're not 5 Seconds of Summer, their last album. That's kind of what put them on most people's radar.
Mm-hmm.
Before then, they had 2 albums and they were great. I love them, but they weren't for everyone.
Right.
And so now they're starting to get bigger, and so like their tickets used to be cheaper than that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm hitting like a sweet spot, and I keep saying this, but it's like right before they go big, like very big, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them at a good time. But so Taylor Swift documentary, you think you know someone, and like you say that, I say that, and a lot of people think that they know these famous people,
Right.
because of what they show you. They choose to show you.
They choose to show you. Yeah, right.
And then she puts this out, and I cried when I watched it.
Really?
There's a lot in there. She talks about why she used to be so skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad and my brother and I had always talked about, and my dad was like, she wrote who said she's too skinny. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because he knew there was something there. Like, and so she talks about how she used to think she was fat, and how when she would see a picture posted by a photographer or something, just a paparazzi, she would, if she didn't like it, she wouldn't eat for a few days.
Wow.
And it's, you know, and you don't know these things. And like people were like, oh, she got bigger like really quick. People thought she had breast augmentation. I'm like, I don't think so. I think she just finally allowed herself. And she does talk about that.
Yeah.
How she was like, I'm going to eat and I'm going to deal with it. And she's like, we're not doing that to ourselves anymore. We're not
Yeah,
going to
right,
put
right,
ourselves
right,
down.
right.
And that's something a lot of girls go through. You know, we all have that part that's we all go through that little part where we're not sure if we're okay with ourselves. And like, I'm going through that now, like coming out of high school, I'm not doing sports anymore. And, you know, I'm gaining weight, and it's weight I was going to gain because I needed to gain more weight. And it's because, you know, athletics stunt your growth. So
Right.
I knew I was going to gain some weight, but I'm still trying to deal with it. I'm still trying to like myself. And like, there's some, like, everyone has this point where they're like, this is what I want to be at. This is what I don't want to be at. Right now I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. And I say that because it took me some time to get there, you know, but I'm not huge. And I'm like, for a while in my head, I was like, you're so much bigger because my thighs are bigger and, you know, my shoulders, my arms, and it's not normal because I was so thin because I did 5 sports in high school, you know, and it's...
Well, you've always been, because I can remember when you would come across the street from River Bluff and come visit us over at Rio, you were a little thing.
I've always been little.
You've always, yeah.
I've always been little.
Yeah.
But it's, but the thing is, like, growing up, my parents always told me, you're going to get bigger because our family, we get bigger. And it's never been a problem for me. I just wasn't ready for it. And my brother and everyone told me, if you keep eating the way you do, and I could eat however I wanted.
Sure.
Because I did 5 sports.
Right.
But it's, I've always been little. I'm always going to be short. And it's, you know, it's in my genetics. It's how I'm going to be. But I'm bigger now, and I'm dealing with it. But I'm okay with it because I know that this is the weight I'm supposed to be at. I'm not gonna let myself go to the point where I'm, you know, not working out at all. As I was doing that for a while because, you know, you get out of sports and you're like, oh, this is nice. It's a nice little break. Yeah. And especially after you have injuries like I did, it's hard to get back into everything.
Right, yeah.
But she talks about that, and that's really relevant. And then so she also talks about elections like we were talking about earlier. And so she actually, with that documentary, she released a new song. And I thought that was a total power move, and I respect her for that. It's called Only the Young, and it's about, because she was disappointed that, she talked about her political beliefs, and most country singers don't do that. And when she was growing up, she was always told, you don't talk about your beliefs. And in the documentary, you see her arguing with all of the men on her staff, and even her dad doesn't want her to do it because they're worried about the backlash she's going to get because she already gets backlash. And
she did get some backlash.
She did.
She did for kind of voicing her opinions and stuff. There was a while there where she did get some backlash. Yeah,
and so
that's true.
They talk about the Dixie Chicks because they were a part of her life and how they got that. And then so she did a song with them. She had a song that on her last album that she did with the Dixie Chicks. And she talks about, you know, how it's been hard for her to just be this good girl that people are going to like. And she's like, I'm tired of being that person that I'm really not. So she talked about that. And so she released a song, it's Only the Young. And it's about how in this next election, the young people need to step up because we can talk about it all we want, but unless we do something, and it's only the young. And it's important. And it was just, it was a very powerful documentary for a hardcore fan.
Could you imagine being a celebrity?
Yes, because I will be.
Okay.
So I have big dreams. That's
dreams. Okay. And see, me, I have no dreams or aspirations. And this may be hard for you, but I think your mom gets this. I'm very introverted.
Oh, I am too.
And when I became a principal, it was very hard for me to walk into a room with people and all your eyes and
run
all
meetings.
It was very hard, and I've learned to overcome that. And then, oh, we got an alarm going off here.
Something's happening. Scary. Okay.
But it was very hard for me to overcome that, and so for me to be a celebrity, I couldn't do that. Well, I appreciate that, but it's still. But see, now I like to just kind of be closed down and stuff, and so when I see these celebrities and different things like that, and just what they go through,
in the public opinion.
having to be in the pub for saying something, and just like the backlash with her, or having to walk out and have security or this or that. No, there's I couldn't do that. I
It's
couldn't do that.
People, a lot of people that don't know me, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't know me, don't know real me. They don't see me as an introvert because I did so many sports and I was
Mm-hmm. Sure.
involved in so many
Right,
things.
right.
I was captain of my cross country team. They don't see me
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
as an introvert, and I tell people
You were on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
I mean, how about that? I mean,
So-
that's so yeah. So people that see that are like going,
oh, she's a total
yeah,
extrovert.
Yeah.
But I'm an extroverted introvert, and even one of my even one of my best friends.
is that an oxymoron or something like that?
No, it's a thing. They have different.
Really?
It's like a spectrum. Like everything now, it's a spectrum. You're not one thing. And
Right.
from people my age, that's it now. You don't have to be one thing.
Right.
You don't have to be. And even one of my best friends, she couldn't believe that I was an introvert. She was like, she knew me. She knows me
Right,
very well. She
right.
was like, you're not an introvert, Gabby. You're totally an extrovert. And I'm like, okay, think about this. Think about how when I get home, I don't talk to anyone. I don't do anything. When I would in high school, when I got home, I was recharging.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't want to spend any time with anyone. My parents know this. I locked myself in my room. I would do my homework, and that's all I needed. And
Right.
my mom, she didn't realize until third grade. One of my teachers, Mr. Estep, he told her that I didn't talk a lot in class, and she could not believe that because when I'm around my family,
Right.
I'm very talkative.
Sure.
And I've always been like that in the classroom. I've always been like that in the classroom.
Yeah.
My teachers have always said that I need to speak up more because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. It's.
Yeah.
I'm in a classroom, and it's not because. Sometimes it's not even because I'm scared to say the answer or anything. It's just that's how I learn. It's my learning environment. I like to be fully focused.
Right.
And my friend, she just couldn't believe that. And then, a year later, she's like, "Oh no, Gabby's an extrovert introvert." She says it like I was like,
Yeah.
"You didn't even think I was an
that's funny.
introvert," because then I have some friends who are like always like that.
Right.
I do, and she was like, "You're not compared to them." I'm like, "I'm an extrovert because I have to be,
Right.
because of what I do and what I want to do."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, that's who I am. But and it's for me being famous. You see a lot of people, like younger famous people, like 20-year-olds that are speaking out about what
Right.
they're going through now,
Yeah.
because they don't want to just deal with it all. I mean, you have people that have committed suicide, like Robin Williams,
Oh, yeah.
who you don't even know because
Right.
they don't tell you.
Right.
And so now I feel like people who are famous now and that are young, they're coming out and they're saying, "This is what I'm going through." A lot of the actors and actresses
Yeah.
that
You
I
see
admire,
more and more of that before
they-
you did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The actors and actors that I admire, they're posting about what they're
Mm-hmm.
going through, how they have anxiety, how they have this, and they're like,
Right.
"I need you," and they're telling us that because now we have social media and everyone can voice their opinion,
Right.
and they're saying, "You need to be kind to me because this is, and
Right.
I'm still human."
Right,
You have
right.
to humanize
Right.
yourself.
Yep.
And I don't know if I'm going to be a celebrity. Who knows? I want to be. I
Right.
want to be an actress. But
Okay.
if I am, I don't think I'm going to have that much of a problem because I've kind of been doing it my whole life. My parents,
Yeah.
and they did that on purpose.
Right.
They put me in Peach Blossom and Spelling Bee and the talent show every year in elementary school. And I hated it.
You're right.
But I did it,
Right.
and I thank them for it, and because now I don't have a fear of doing this. I don't have a fear of talking in a big group of people. I can take a leadership role, even though when I get home, I'm gonna chill and I'm gonna be by myself and I'm gonna go with my
You're
little.
gonna unplug.
I'm gonna hole up,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a lot like that too
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
what people need.
Yeah.
So, okay, so documentary. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of things out for TV. I know we're kind of going everywhere, but this is last minute thing.
Yeah.
We're getting some good insight here. So, okay, I'm sorry. We won't go too much longer. She's like, it's 6:00. I'm sorry. So let's see. What am I watching? Mom, that show on Netflix, is it Hentified?
Huh?
Hentified?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want to see this. It's a new show on Netflix, just came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's called Hentified, and I saw the trailer for it, and it's about in LA, right there in LA, and it's about they're Mexican.
Yes.
They're Mexicans in LA, and they're trying to deal with their neighborhood and like their living, and
yeah.
they talk about what it's like to do that, what it's like to be in LA and live there, and their own problems.
Interesting. Huh.
And I'm kind of into a lot of Hispanic shows right now, I'm thinking, because I'm also watching Party of Five,
Okay.
which my mom told me is a remake.
Right.
And
Yes, it is.
and so okay, so
Yes.
I didn't know what Party of Five was, and so
Okay.
then they came out with this trailer. It's from the original creators of the original Party
Okay,
of Five.
okay.
And it's about, though, a Mexican family,
Mm-hmm.
and their parents were deported back to Mexico.
wow,
So
okay.
it's dealing with relevant issues today. It's talking about immigration and how
Right.
this Party of Five, these five kids, one is old enough to take care of him, but he has DACA, so he's not even. And they're like the other four aren't. They're still teenagers, and they have a baby, and so they're dealing with that, and it's just their day-to-day life, but how everything is impacting them, how like the teen daughter, she's getting involved with things for immigration reform, and that's stuff, all stuff I'm passionate about,
Right.
stuff I want to see.
Right.
And I realize like now I'm watching a lot more diverse and inclusive shows and movies, because that's what we're working on in Hollywood.
Right.
But it's also because it's what needs to be normalized.
Right,
I
right.
remember, I think about it, and I'm like, when I was growing up, all the romances and everything, it would be Caucasian primarily. And while they were great, and I love them,
Right.
I love those romances,
Right.
it didn't depict me. And I talked a lot about this, like, when my college essays, like, I didn't have that role model that I got to look up to.
Right.
And now so many more women of color and men of color are coming into society in this part that we can look up to them now.
Right.
And like Disney Plus, they're doing a new show. It's called Diary of a Female President, of a Future President, and it's a female Hispanic girl, and she's in 6th grade, and it's kind of a kid show,
Right.
but it's what we're trying to teach these kids, because they're trying to show this can happen,
Right.
even though it hasn't.
Right.
It can happen. Diary of a Future President, and I watch it because of that, not because like I'm totally interested in what a little 6th grader is doing.
No,
but
but
because
it's-
of what they're working up to.
Right. It's real. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's how her path to this, and so right now she just figured out like, oh, I could be good at being a leader. She's in 6th grade. She's Hispanic. That's what she. And the thing is, the best part about it, it's Hispanic females that created it, all produced, like all of it. And I love that, because that's still today. It's not. There's not a lot of that.
Right.
And for a brand like Disney to be doing that,
Sure.
it's amazing.
For sure.
Okay, I think that's good for that.
Yeah.
Let's see, music. Okay, we're gonna talk about music. I gotta talk about music.
You can talk music, because I'm still stuck in the 80s and 70s and
So I was-
60s and
I was telling Mr. Swain that I've been listening to a lot of Four Seasons lately. I was talking to my mom, because like I love the Beatles. Everyone
Sure.
loves the Beatles.
Yeah.
And like my mom, she was like, well, they were an international band, Gabby. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I understand that. I have friends that are like obsessed with the Beatles, and I appreciate their music and I love them, but like I'm more into like bands like the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I love their music.
You're an old soul.
I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I am, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But when it comes to their music,
Yeah.
it's not that I enjoy it more, but
Yeah.
I'll listen to them more.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her, she was like, well, the Beatles were bigger internationally. I'm like, I understand that. I do. But for me, so I've been listening to a lot of Four Seasons. I love Frankie Valli's voice. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
it's so good.
You know, I could listen to Jimi Hendrix all day long. And see, I wasn't, like when I was growing up, he was already, when I started listening to music, he was already gone.
Yeah.
And so, like when I was growing up, it was, when I really got into music was the late 70s, the Van Halens, the Eagles, the 80s, and that whole
Rock genre.
just
yeah.
rock genre, and then it went alternative and stuff. But what I find is that there was a lot of stuff when I was real young that I just I didn't get exposed to. My parents listened to, like, big bands and stuff like that. So I had that exposure, and then I had my own exposure when I started listening to music. But I found that there's so much in the 60s and 70s that
It's too good to
it's
not.
too good.
Yeah.
And anytime I hear something Jimi Hendrix, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to listen to this. And there's new stuff that
You just don't.
I just I don't. And
Oh, she's showing me one of the. So she's
Yeah.
showing me a song that I love.
Yeah.
The Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy by the
Yeah.
Andrews Sisters.
yeah,
So it was funny because I've heard this song before. I'd
Mm-hmm.
heard it before high school, but when we did in academic decathlon, we did World War II.
sure.
And this was one of our music
Yeah.
options.
Mhm.
And everyone, when we would be in class, we had to listen to, we're studying
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
right? So we would listen to it, and I would be singing over here, and
Yeah.
the kids in class would look at me like, why would you listen to this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's because my parents have done a great job of exposing me to all types of music,
Sure,
but that
yeah.
that song,
Yeah.
every time that song comes on, when I just
Yeah.
hit shuffle, it'll come on, and I sing it my little
Yeah.
heart out, and my mom laughs, and she thinks it's so cool.
See, that's good because a lot of kids these days, it's all rap.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, how
It's
rock isn't
all-
really here
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and like rock now,
it's
it's
not,
really
it's not rock.
It's not rock,
Yeah,
and
it's like all these subgenres.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I listen to Halsey, and I love
Okay,
Halsey. And
right.
her new album just came out. Listen to it. Oh my god! I asked my mother. I have been listening to Halsey nonstop since the album came out.
Yeah.
All of the songs. I already know all the lyrics to all the songs.
Yeah.
But she's alternative,
Sure.
and she's not pop. It's not pop.
No.
And because you listen to Taylor Swift, that's pop. You listen to Halsey, that's. It's like you want to say it's rock, but it's alternative. It's alt. And her stuff is just so. It's like aggressive, and
Yeah.
it's like this other side of me, like
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But
rock
it's not-
isn't here.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not. There's.
It's not this.
No.
And I think rock is. You're saying it's so good. So it's like, why do more when you don't need to change it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and so it's expanding to rap. And I'm not a huge fan of rap. I have a few rappers that I listen to. I listen to some because of my brother.
Sure.
Because he's like, you need to listen to this. And like they tell stories.
Sure.
But there's also some rap that's just like, what is this?
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
And there's
yeah.
so much music now that
Yeah.
you don't know exactly what to listen to, and
Right.
it's like, and you're saying like it's easier for you to go back and listen to other stuff.
yeah.
For me, like
Yeah, I'm rediscovering stuff in the '60s and stuff in the '70s, and
that
yeah,
you can have a new appreciation for.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And like I've said this before on air, like. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't listen to Taylor Swift, because she's got so many albums out that I can, like, when I don't have anything to listen to, I just go and listen to all her old music, all her old songs. And it's because I grew up with them, and it's still good music. It's still great music. And I can just go back and, my dad, if it weren't for him and my mother playing songs that I don't know, and like there are songs I know by hearing, but I couldn't tell you who sings it. I
Sure.
couldn't tell you who the band is, but they're old. They're older, like the 80s, 90s. Like obviously I know like Nirvana, and like I
Right.
have my own bands that I love,
Yeah.
like Bowling for Soup, which I've talked about before. Love them. Like, but there's some that I'm like, oh, people were like, oh, have you heard this song? I'm like, no, but then they'll play it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have. But I don't.
But do you then, when you see, because when that happens to me,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll, the stations, and it's like, I remember that song, but I don't know who it's by or what. So what I will do is I will go and I'll get on Amazon Music,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll look up, and then I'll start doing my
Well,
research
so,
and stuff
you know
like
what,
that. And
it's-
it's like I discovered a new artist.
So
and
I have an easier way of doing that.
Yeah.
Shazam. You could just.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we do.
I
So,
know.
and you're right. I do that.
Yeah.
And like it'll be added to my music, and
Mm-hmm.
I have so many songs on Apple Music that I just, if I hit shuffle, anything could come up.
Sure,
I have
yeah.
and like I listen to musicals. So you could go from a Disney playlist to Hamilton to Taylor Swift to rock. Like that's anything on my playlist,
Right.
and it's really nice. But when things come out, that's what I listen to. So Halsey,
Yeah, okay.
the new album, my favorite song on that album is probably 929. It's actually the last song, and it's not even because it's like such a good like song. It's not really like a singing song, but she's talking. It's like she's talking about her life right now, and she's like, I'm almost 25. And she's talking about it, and because I'm at this point where I'm trying to figure myself out, she's trying to figure herself out. It's not like everything she's talking about, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But it's the type of song that I'm listening to right now, and I'm like, we're
It
going
means
through the same
something.
thing.
It's
Yeah, it
meaningful
means
to you.
something.
Yeah.
And it's great. And so then
Yeah.
5 Seconds of Summer, their new album is coming out in March, and they released 4 songs off of this album, and each one I am captivated with. And I cannot wait to see them in concert.
Yeah.
I love them. And I've been listening to them since middle school. And the thing I love about 5 Seconds of Summer is every album, you can hear the difference in the sound because they're growing up. And I think I like artists who start young and continue doing what they're doing because you can hear the growth.
Right.
It's the same with Taylor Swift, and like bands, it's not as, you can't hear it, and especially if they're like always, they stick to their stuff, If it's different, like my dad talks about, God, is it Nirvana that did the acoustic versions of their song, their album? And like that's a whole thing.
Right.
You can go and you're like, that is something completely different than the album they put out.
There's a lot of bands, 80s and 90s, that to rediscover themselves or to
Exactly. And they come out with completely different sounds. And I think that's what I love about music is that it could be the same person.
Well, Linkin Park did the same thing back in
I
the
know,
day,
and
where
I know Linkin Park.
where they went completely their same songs, but they had like a rap kind of genre
aspect,
with
yeah.
it and stuff. And yeah, it's they tend to do that. So
And I don't know. I love it when I can grow up with it. I think that's why that I like so many newer artists because I'm growing with them.
right.
But 80s and 90s, I can appreciate them. And I still listen to them. My dad listens to them, like
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
There's always people you listen to.
Sure.
I think that's it. I think
I think that's it.
I mean, we had a good conversation about what's going on.
See,
We appreciate you being here
Yes,
tonight
we do.
and listening and trying to follow along with us as we go on off our mini tangents.
our tangents.
But it's good to talk to people
Yeah.
that are different ages. It's a lot of kids my age don't talk to adults like they would their friends. I mean, I don't talk to you exactly like I would my friend, but you are a family friend, and you've been around my life
For a long time.
a very long time.
Long time.
And I
Yep.
can sit here, and now that I'm older and I'm smarter, I can talk to you about
Right.
these things. And I think it's really cool, and we should have more conversations with our other generations because
I agree.
right now, a lot of what's going on is we're blaming each other. Each generation's blaming each other.
Yeah.
Older generations are blaming my generations are blaming. And while some of it may be true, we need to work together. We need
agree.
to be together.
I agree.
And I think that's kind of what we're doing. Just talking about stuff like
Stuff,
music.
yeah.
It's just finding that common ground. So thank you for
Yes.
being here.
Thank you for being here on a
Sunday
Sunday
night.
evening.
Yes.
So
we appreciate it. My dad will be back soon. I know he's got some more stuff lined up for you, from some more shows, not just him, coming up. So thank you for being here. I wish you all the best. Have a great night. Have a good, safe week. Be safe.
yes.
And
All right.
we're done.
We're
Night.
done.
Bye.
Bye.